Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Sports Science Hacks, where today I'll ask the question, should you do an internship? The short answer is yes, of course. If you look at any graduate job, look at the description, you'll need experience. But let's consider a few things here when it comes to finding an internship and also being happy when doing an internship. Firstly, I'm going to speak about the working hours. And what I'd say to you is, don't feel a pressure to intern full time. Especially during the semester, don't be looking at doing 30, 40 hours. Especially if it's unpaid, because you have a right to earn money. Nothing wrong with going out there as well, getting a bar job, a cafe job, retail, whatever it is to get some money in your pocket. If that boss doesn't allow you to go out there and get a paid job, it's not the right internship to be in. But when it comes to internships, don't feel that pressure, as I've mentioned, to go full time. Just throughout the whole 3 or 4 years, just do a few hours. That's what I used to do. I rarely had a block of 40 hours a week. It was usually just 2, 3, 5, 6 hours, something like that. Don't feel that pressure to do loads of hours. Secondly, the big question from this video is, should you be paid to do an internship? Now, I'm going to use an analogy here to discuss this very briefly. When it comes to work experience, there's 2 ways of looking at it. You're either the driver, so it's a hands-on role, or you're a passenger. This is where you're shadowing in your work experience. And think about driving a car. The driver has responsibility and the driver has to have skill. When it comes to an internship, if it requires responsibility and it requires skill, you should be getting paid. It's as simple as that. But conversely, if you're a passenger in a car, well, there's little to no responsibility. You don't have to do anything, you can just sit there. And also, you don't have to be there. You don't have to have skill. So translating that into work experience, if there's no responsibility or skill required, should you be paid? I'd still say probably yes, but it's up for debate with employers, and that's where maybe sometimes you end up in an unpaid position. What I recommend you do is take a look at that position you've seen, ask yourself, does it warrant payment? But don't be afraid to ask. It could be advertised as unpaid, but when you're dropping that person an email, just ask them, just say, well, in the near future, is it possible to start getting paid? The worst they can say is no, so do ask. Next, I'm going to speak about the environment. Firstly, the learning environment. Are you getting much out of your internship? Let's say right now you're doing an internship. Are you actually learning anything whilst you're there? And are you getting any responsibility? Now, it's fine to shadow at first, but as time goes by, you should be let off the leash basically and given more responsibility. If that's not happening, it's not a great internship. And finally, is time being invested in you? In a good internship, the boss or other colleagues will sit down with you and teach you stuff. If that's not happening, you should be worried and maybe looking elsewhere. Sticking with the environment, I'm going to speak about the working environment now. This is really crucial. How are you being treated? Are you being treated as a second-class citizen because you're, inverted commas, an intern? Do you actually enjoy being there? This is a huge part of it. Do you actually like going to this place every day? And also, is it worth the time and effort? For me, when I was doing my internships at 18, 19, getting 2 buses there, 2 buses back, the time I would sacrifice for my social life and other stuff going on, if it's not worth that, then don't do it. And finally, if it gets that extreme and you're thinking of leaving, well, don't be hasty. There's been many a time I've thought about leaving an internship. For example, first time I was ever told off. I thought, what's going on here? How can you talk to me like that? But I stewed over it for a bit and thought, well, no, I wasn't in the wrong. And if you have moments like that, just long story short, don't be hasty. Secondly, weigh up the options. So if you're thinking about leaving, well, why are you leaving? And if you do leave, well, what are you going to do? What's plan B? What's plan C? Have you got something else lined up? And finally, it's not a disaster to leave. It took me to the age of 23, 24 to leave a job. I had loads of jobs, opportunities before. I didn't enjoy them. I should have left, but I felt, well, if I do leave, it's going to look really bad on my CV if I leave. Unless you key someone's car in a car park or set fire to the office, it's not going to hang over you. If you just politely say, look, this isn't for me, I'm sorry, I'm going to walk away, it's totally fine. Okay, so that's my opinion so far. Just going to finish off with a few more parting words. You need experience, that's the bottom line. You have to get experience during your degree. But sometimes the system really isn't fair. You see this stuff all the time on Twitter, these internships that are 40 hours a week, no money, highly skilled positions. It's wrong. How do we change the system? I think it's difficult for students to speak up because there's that fear of, if you upset an employer, it's a small network, word could get round, you've upset one person, that could affect other opportunities. For me as a lecturer, I'll always speak up. If I see something on Twitter that I feel is unfair, I'll say, this isn't right for students for you to be offering this really poor internship. So if you're really confident, speak up, join the movement and reply to these advertisements and say it's not fair. But I do appreciate as a student, you may find that hard. Okay, so that was my short video about internships. Thank you for watching it. I've got other internship videos on my channel. I recommend you give them a watch. And if you'd like to speak more about internships with me, get in touch with me on Instagram at Sports Science Hacks. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again soon.